Let's bring in Gene Munster of Loup Ventures to help us through this. Gene, great to have you with us.
Hi.
From an investor standpoint, what do you want a company to do?
You want them to do what Mark Zuckerberg is doing, and Steve nailed it, is that this is Pandora's box. And trying to regulate and legislate truth is impossible. You will never please both sides. I've thought a lot about truth recently, and even things that can be very clear may not be viewed as accurate from another's perspective. And so the right thing is to do what Zuckerberg's doing. And this has the implications for Facebook. Let's set aside all of the emotion and the change that needs to happen. If we just take it, for example, where Facebook stands, is that if they shift on this topic, it will create a significant impact to the rest of their business. They do, it's important to note, they do police for hate speech, and they do work with authorities. So there is some fabric where Facebook does some good. I think also part of the conversation here, so to answer your question, Melissa, I think Zuckerberg is doing the right thing. He's going to be criticized, but he, I think, should ultimately stand his ground. And I think that this topic will not go away either. We are years away from figuring this out.
So does that mean, by extrapolation, Gene, that Twitter and Jack Dorsey is doing the wrong thing in terms of what is best for business?
Yes, and the reason is ultimately you can face some alienation. Social platforms are by definition social, which is different than a typical media outlet. And so because of that, you start to skate around some edges, what Twitter is doing that can have a bigger impact on, potentially engagement longer term, the people that want to participate in the platform. So that's the risk. So the answer is Zuckerberg is doing the right thing. And I think that there's even a bigger picture beyond kind of the right and wrong here. Is I think that I don't want to take it to a higher level, but there is something that is just toxic about social media more broadly, and I think that some of that needs to be addressed. Don't know how you do that, but I think that's another topic that needs to be part of the conversation.
Yeah. BK, got a question?
I do. For Gene, to me, this strikes me a bit, if you brought it out to kind of ESG investing, right? Environmental, social governance. Is there a difference in terms of, and I'm talking just purely on the business, we're talking about, how this impacts the actual dollars and cents, but is there a difference from what Twitter's doing, which is from the CEO level down making the decision, whereas Facebook, it's coming from your stakeholders, your employees. It strikes me that that might have a bigger impact on your business than just a single CEO decision saying, I'll take the heat on this. But if your employees are suggesting it, does that change in your mind the way that Facebook operates?
Unfortunately, I don't think it does, and the decision does come from the top. Zuckerberg has control of the company, and so I think ultimately is that this comes back to painful topic, a lot of focus on it today. It makes a ton of sense. But ultimately, the best thing for Facebook to do for all the employees longer term, they're going to upset a portion of that. That portion will be heard. But ultimately, the best thing for the platform, and that in respect to the business of Facebook, if in fact you are in a for-profit business, which Facebook is, the best thing, I believe, is for them to hold the line, because at the core essence of this is you cannot legislate or regulate truth.
Gene, great to speak with you. Thank you. Gene Munster, Loup Ventures. Jeff, you agree with Gene?
I do, and I think the Pandora's box analogy is a good one, and I think you're also seeing some of what he's talking about actually manifest in the way some of these companies are functioning from a business perspective. If you look at what has happened between some of the major ad players, what's held up in this environment where companies have pulled back ad spending are these direct response ads. So when you're driven immediately to another website, you buy something, you order food, or you download an app, That's what's held up. And it's been Google, it's been Facebook, and Snap has been invited to that party as well. And they've actually done quite well. I think actually 50% of Snap's ad revenue is now being driven by this new trend of direct response ads. Twitter is not participating. So I don't know exactly why that is, but I think there are some fundamental problems there. So whether it's what we're talking about here or some other problems specifically with their ad platform, I think it's all manifesting in different fortunes for the way some of these businesses are able to handle this environment and how they'll do going forward in the ad space.
I'm glad you brought up ads, right? Because that is the arbiter of how companies are doing and how it is weathering whatever controversy it is weathering. And we heard today from a number of companies come out, Tim, condemning the violence, the racial injustice, et cetera, taking a stand. Are these the very same advertisers who might say, you know what, Facebook, we're not gonna put that ad there this time around?
Right. Well, advertisers that want a stand of some kind because socially that's very important to them. So I think this gets back to you can't make both sides happy. And it's very difficult to be the arbiter of truth. We're all talking about this. The great irony for me is that Facebook was largely vilified for not being the arbiter of truth in the last election. And the other great irony is, of course, that Facebook is pushing again to all-time highs and was up 3% today while it was smack in the news for this issue. And it makes you get this sense that Facebook, which derated around the 2016 election in the sense of in the aftermath of that, we still couldn't really calculate the cost to their business for security and privacy issues. That the market is actually re-rating this company now because they're taking a clear stand of not taking a stand. Anyway, it's been an extraordinary couple days for Facebook trading because historically I would have thought this would have been something that would have pushed it down.